Is Sophie Cunningham the leak? Could Sophie Cunningham be the leak that got the credential of one Scott Agnes revoked? I am not creating any type of speculation here, but I can tell you this: Sophie Cunningham has no problem talking. And for podcasts, that's a thing of beauty. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing for us because she tells us what she's thinking. And for us, that's wonderful. And yesterday, when she spoke to the media, she voiced that, well, she voiced a lot of stuff. One, she voiced that the team had a lengthy meeting, 2 hours, she claims. She also, which, when Kelsey Mitchell came up next, Kelsey Mitchell seemed shocked that the media knew about it. And then the media told her, well, Sophie just told us. Oh, okay. And then when Stephanie White came up later on, she said, I wouldn't say it was that long. Maybe she needs to learn how to tell some time. But what you could hear from both of them was they were not happy that details of this meeting came out. And then going a step further, Sophie Cunningham explained that this is a team that has only one defensive scheme. Unbelievably laughable. And we're going to show it all right here. But before we do, hit the intro. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Indiana Fever Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Showman. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. And leave your comments, man. We're here for it all. We want to hear what you think. Right now, things are not looking great in the land of Indiana. Indianapolis is not having a good day right now. They've got a lot of stuff coming out of the locker room. You got the issues with Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. You have the PR damage control session where you had Caitlin Clark basically defend the shit out of Stephanie White, only to listen to Stephanie White not do the same for Caitlin Clark. You've got all the opinions of people across the WNBA media circus seemingly blaming Caitlin Clark for breathing. And then you also have the credential revocation of Scott Agnes, who's covered this team for upwards of 15 years, for telling the truth. And now I'm led to believe that maybe, just maybe, his inside source could very well be Sophie Cunningham, because she has one hell of an ability to say whatever the hell she thinks and not give a shit. And not seem to, or and maybe is she doing it on purpose? Is she tone deaf? I don't know at this point. I got to think that she's pissed off about her contract. She's pissed off about coming off the bench. She's not happy about a whole lot of stuff. And we're sitting here right now wondering, well, what's going on with this team? Why is this team failing to click? Why is this team having this up and down situation so far? Why have they completely changed their offense? And why can't they guard anybody? Because their defense is so damn bad, it looks elementary school like. And Sophie Cunningham pretty much spilled the beans. Let's listen to what Sophie Cunningham had to say right here.
So as we get ready for Commissioner's Cup, how much momentum, confidence you guys have after winning the whole thing the way you did last year?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I think it was a turning point for our team last year. We went through a lot, and just to see everyone kind of come together and everyone contributed, got positive reinforcement that everyone is needed. And so I think that's always good for a team, especially going into that time of season and then playoffs. So it's good, but that's last year. This year is completely different, and so we got to dial in today and get better offensively and defensively.
You guys probably aren't. I don't want to speak for you, but you're probably not where you want to be right now,
Correct.
sitting at 500.
Yep.
So how could this be the start of another turning point for the whole season, even though it's early?
Yeah, I think it's something to look forward to, a goal to reach that's in season. I think that's the whole point. A little bit more money for everybody, which is nice, it's not $30K, by the way, if anyone's wondering, after taxes. But I do think that it gives you just something positive to look forward to and to work towards. And, sometimes you need that in-season motivation.
What is the level of frustration, if at all, with the team right now?
Yeah, it's we have all the pieces, and now you just got to put the puzzle together. And I think that each year has growing pains, and we're in that right now. Like I said, we have all the pieces we need, but it's owning your role, knowing your role, and also just like being tough. We're just too soft right now, and that's not what our identity is. And so we need to get away from that.
Defensively, what areas do you think you all can grow in? You talked about the toughness
All
part,
of them.
but also, are there tactics? Are there things you can do from a technical standpoint?
Yeah, toughness is one of them. You just have to be willing to play defense. It's not fun. No one wants to do it, but the good defensive teams, they're the teams that win, and we have the personnel to do it. I think something that's hurting us right now is we're only playing one defensive scheme, and in this league it's too good. You can't, and people are going to pick us apart. And so we got to dial in, we got to focus. Your IQ has to be on point. You have to know what schemes we're doing, and if you can't do that, then you can't play. And that's the point where we're at right now.
So she just told everybody that this team plays one defensive scheme. That is mind-blowing. I don't think y'all, if you've played basketball at any level, my son's 12U team, his 12U travel team, has at least 5 schemes that they run on defense. At least 5. They run a full court press. They run a half court press. They run a 1-3-1. They run a full court man, a half court man, and a 2-3. 6 defensive schemes. She says that they're only running one because their players are incapable of running more than that. That's a problem. Like, that is a serious problem. You are professionals, and you're running one defensive scheme. And what happened, that defensive scheme, by the way, people, is switch on everything. They switch on everything. And after a few games of switching on everything, guess what? There's something called tendency in film. Coaches and players and the other teams will watch film, and they will see tendency, and they will see what you're doing, and they will say, this is what we're going to do to attack it. So what's going to happen now is that every single game, if you're switching on everything, well, we're going to get that one-on-one matchup that we want against Caitlin Clark to try to put her in foul trouble. I think I said this on my live last night. That went on for about 3 hours. I think I said it on the live. The purpose of Caitlin Clark being put in one-on-one situations is not to make buckets. It's not to score. yes, if they scored, would they be happy? Sure. Their desire, the team's desire to get Caitlin Clark in one-on-one matchups and force her to defend is to get her into foul trouble. That's it. If they can get a couple of fouls on Caitlin Clark in the first 4 minutes of the game on switches, they have done everything they want to do to get her sat down on the bench for an extended period of time. Because the one way that you can defend Caitlin Clark the other direction is by her not being on the floor. And the fact that Stephanie White has been incapable of putting together a second scheme that this team can run defensively, that is what's happening now. Why Caitlin Clark is getting up in ISO situations constantly, because all they do is switch. You cannot switch. You cannot switch on everything. So the fact that she said this is an indictment on Stephanie White, and it's an embarrassment for the franchise.
When you say you're playing one defensive scheme, that you have others installed, you just aren't ready to run them in games?
I mean, we had probably 10 of them last year. Each team has stuff up their sleeve, but if you can't execute them, you can't do them. And so this team really does have to focus. We have a lot of young guns. We have a lot of people who are very talented, but at the same time, you have to dial in and know what we're doing. Otherwise, it just won't work. And so we had a long meeting yesterday. It was a really good meeting. And so hopefully we've kind of turned the page and everyone is kind of on the same page now. And so hopefully Thursday, you guys will notice that.
Listen to that again. We had 10 of them last year. She says we had 10 different defensive schemes last year, but if people can't run them, we can't do them. If people are not on the same page, we can't do them. Then she mentions that we got new players. No, you really, really don't. You've got 7 returning players from last year's roster. Your starting 5 is the exact same starting 5 minus 1 player. So 4 of your 5 starters are the same players from last year. They should be capable of running a defensive scheme that was included last year. That they should have that ability. And then if you play and they take out Monique Billings, that makes 5 of y'all from the same team last year. So we're sitting here talking about Monique Billings, Maisha Hines-Allen, Raven Johnson, now Grace Van Sluten, and Ty Harris. But Ty Harris played for Stephanie White, so she should have some idea of these schemes, right? That's what Stephanie White told us, right? But the fact that this is being admitted to is embarrassing. To have the need to have a team meeting 8 games in that last 2 hours where people have to get things off their chest, this whole 9, that's insane. That's absolutely nuts. This is way early in the season to have something like that happen. But you're sitting here telling us that your team is just unprepared. This team is not prepared. They run one defensive set the entire game. They run a switch. They switch on everything. I mean, Nick told me at the end of the third quarter that they tried to run zone from what he saw, and it was terrible. So do they even work on the zone defense? I mean, if you can't run zone defense, then you shouldn't even be playing basketball. That's the most basic defense on earth. If you can't run zone, then y'all don't belong in the league. That's embarrassing. But her saying this is not good. And it can't be looked at very well by the executives on this franchise. Sophie Cunningham will not be in this team next year. Mark it down right now. She will not re-sign with this franchise. She's out of here. She probably regrets re-signing this year for all this crap. Making less money than Lexi Hull, who she's better than, coming off the bench behind Lexi Hull, who she's better than. I mean, come on. But I gotta wonder now, is she the fucking source? Because she has diarrhea of the mouth. I love it. Podcast purpose, it's amazing. For reality, it's bad.
What were the kinds of things you talked about in that meeting yesterday?
Just what everyone's kind of feeling, where we need to be, what our identity is, offensively, where we're struggling, defensively, where is the breakdown. And so we literally, I think we were in there for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And we peeled back all the layers. And so I think everyone's on a good page right now, and we're ready to work.
Is that a player-initiated meeting or coaches or a bit of everybody?
We'll say started coaches and then ended up being player. So it was much needed, though. After not Golden State, after Portland, I mean, that was just that's not it. We can't be playing like that. We're too good. And so we needed that meeting. And like I said, I think everyone's refreshed and ready to get going.
What kind of frustrating game like that, Portland?
All right, I'm done with this. That's it. I mean, she just sat there and told you that this team is not a prepared group. Who is it that can't execute these defenses? Who is it that can't understand the concepts? I mean, this is embarrassing, people. This is not a good look. It's not a good look, folks. I'm telling you right now, you can think it's funny or not. It is a real bad look for this franchise. And I got to wonder right now what's going on executive-wise. If people had a conversation with her after the fact, because she just exposed the entire franchise for being a fucking joke. She exposed the entire franchise for being an absolute fucking joke. But hey, y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hype the video. Let me know y'all thoughts. I appreciate y'all. This is Indiana Fever Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.